welcome back to the Comic Lounge. Remember when I said at the very end of the last video that I might be taking a break from purchasing, so there wouldn't be, or there wasn't going to be a video at the end of July, at least on the 31st? I guess I lied, because guess what happened the day after I posted that video, or at least the day that I posted that video, guess what happened? The shop here in town, which is locally Highway to the Gaming Zone, decided that they were going to commence with the 6-year anniversary sale. And it was going to go on for all week long. You knew I had to. So, let's just get right into it, because again, you always see the intro now at the beginning of the video, so let's get into it. Before I get into the sale books, or the stuff I picked up on, the week of the sale, let me throw in at least a couple that I did pick up just after that video or so. First up, since this was the other last decent-looking Master Kung Fu that they had there, again, I showed you 112 and 117. And again, this is a newsstand edition for 116. You get $3. And this one ended up being a cheapy book, and again, when it comes to a lot of these DC implosion titles, this is one I don't see regularly, but I know it's a very cheap book, and in the condition, I was okay with paying $2, but it's issue number 3 of Hercules Unbound. And so, they had at least a few other Hercules Unbound. Sadly, no number 1 and no number 2, but again, number 3 right here. And of course, I'll eventually show number 4. But then again, the numbers really jump, and they only had 2 others. And again, they were very later, so there's a lot of gaps. So I just decided to get on that, and once the sale came up, I knew exactly what I'm going to try and grab as part of the sale. But that was before the sale commenced, but that was after my last video when I purchased that. So okay, let's get into the books that I did get pretty much the week of the sale. And again, I got some fairly decent deals on these books. Let's put it that way. I got some decent deals. But I won't say how much I paid. Okay? I won't say exactly how much I paid. But some of these I got some really cheap deals for, and some I got, at least one of them I got very reasonable. And you're going to see that one at the very end. So please stick around until the end of this video. It's going to be a cool one. I guarantee it. It's going to be a cool one. So stick around. Okay, so let's get to it. These definitely were not in perfect shape, but I ended up getting a good deal on these 2 books to begin with, and I got them for very cheap to begin with. But they're not keys, but I have to get some Daredevils for my Daredevil collection. But it's $144. Again, there is some foxing here and there, but you know what? For the price that I paid, at least it was reasonable. Very reasonable for the condition of this book. But it's still not bad. It is not in like super low grade. It's definitely in between a lower mid and a mid. So like what you could say a true mid grade I've seen be used as a term. But this is one, probably between like a 5.5 to a 6, especially with the foxing, which is a very average, as I've noticed, as far as grading. So there you go. Still, not bad. At least I got a pretty good price for this book to begin with. There's that 144. And then here we have is 145. with the owl. Just really cool to begin with. Again, not perfect condition, but for the price, alright. At least I didn't try and go to eBay and try and pay full price for, like, especially when it comes to shipping. And these are very underpriced book to begin with. These are very underpriced. So I think I kind of paid for, because of the sale, I got it at least for what would be considered fair market value for these type of books, and at least maybe even under fair market value. So there you have it, $145 at Daredevil. And really the main ones I wanted to get from there too. And again, for the condition of these books, and especially for what these are, or at least what these were printed with, I was at least happy to pay the very cheap price for these books. But, because I've been getting some more Man-Things, and this, again, it's from the first run, from 1973 to, like, 75. But here we have is Man-Thing number 13. When I did buy this book, and I'm going to eventually show number 14, and again, I got them for a good deal, because these are 25 centers, and I had to look up. Yes, this does come with the Marvel value stamp, or at least was printed with the Marvel value stamp. And for the price, and especially for the condition, especially with the foxing, which is very minimal, I had to at least see if this had the value stamp. And once again, here's the picture. It is, of course, the Marvel value stamp, I believe, for Shauna the She-Devil. And it will be, and again, there's usually that little text in the cover there where it says Series A. So it is very cool that even in this condition, it still had the value stamp intact. And I know these are probably books that are probably known to not all to at least still retain the value stamp. These are not like highly wanted, but given the fact still that Marvel would publish those folders, whatever, where technically when you cut out the value stamps you have to stick onto, to collect them. Still, I still don't want to take a chance, no matter what. So thankfully, this was a complete copy, and finally, also a complete copy with the value stamp intact, number 14. And there you have it. There's the picture for it, which is for Lady Sif. So, really cool to begin with. Really, even in this condition, which is at least around a mid-grade, but doesn't go anywhere above a mid-grade, but at least above a low-grade. Still, there's definitely some wear. There's definitely some spine ticks, but I wouldn't call this straight-up low-grade. But still, the fact in this condition that the value stamp is intact, yeah, it is at least a blessing. So I got at least a good price for this book to begin with. I didn't pay too much, again, thanks to the shop sale. Really nice. And afterwards, I also again got a really paid very low for this book, but it is, since I like to get a lot of the DC horror books, and I do have some ghosts. But this was one I was eyeing since last year. But number 59, Ghosts. Again, not in like perfect condition, but it's still serviceable. Actually, still looks pretty decent for what the cover would suggest. The back, I think, wasn't really that bad looking. So I think for even the price that I paid, which is really low, I got a really good deal on this book. Very cheap, still. And these are usually cheap books. But some of this can be a little pricey. Again, we're talking about at least still the Bronze era of DC horror books. It's still really cool. It's still really a good price for what I paid. So I like grabbing these when I see them. So Ghosts number 59. And since I showed Hercules Unbound issue number 3, again, for very cheap, there's number 4. Again, this one I think was the condition of this book. I think it was actually better condition than for issue number 3. So I thought that was really something. So there you have it. Hercules Unbound, issue number 3. And these, even in these conditions, it's actually really good for what I paid for. But again, I've been dipping into getting some Captain Marvels, as you've probably seen. But even with some of the foxing and the condition, this still is pretty dang nice for how long it was, for the whatever, you know. But number 47 with the Sentry Sinister, or at least Sentry 459, really nice. Again, even with some of the issues that are there, especially the defects, this still is a very presentable book, and I got a really low price on this comic, so really nice to begin with. So get some cool cheap Captain Marvels. And after that, the condition of this one could have been better, but at least for the price that I paid, yeah, it was at least fine enough. But is number 48, which is the first appearance for this very obscure character, by the way, which is Cheetah. Normally this is like a $5 book, but I got it way under $5. So because of the sale, I got it way under. So that's always counts. It always counts. So Captain Marvel, number 48. And now finally, let's get to the last 4 books. Now, this one, yes, I did get it at least a good deal on this book, and I had to throw it in there so I can get the deal in a way to make sure that I got the deal. And even in the condition, I'm not upset. But again, it's always kind of tough to find decent looking copies, at least for some of these 80s Sergeant Rocks. And I like getting some of these here and there. But here we have is number 345, which this series started out as Our Army at War. And I have a few of those Our Army at Wars with Sergeant Rock, which are Silver Age ones. And a couple, I think, of one early Bronze. But this is at least towards the latter of the Bronze era, practically beginning into the Copper. So, really awesome. Just a great, cool Joe Kubert cover. And some Stephen R. Bassetti artwork that predates his time on Swamp Thing. So, that's really cool. So, really nice again. But you know what? I got it cheap. Let's put it this way. I got it really cheap. Super cheap. This one I got, this is usually as a cheap book, but in the condition, which normally you will find in this condition, because this is when DC Comics was really, for these only direct market titles, have the Baxter paper and so on. So these are going to be very high quality. But it is the Spectre Annual number 1. So the Spectre's ever first annual comic in general. And so there you have it again with Dead Man. And I guess this is during the Doug Mensch series. I think it's in between the original Silver Age series and the more popular John Ostrander series, which I also have some of those issues. I have quite a bit of those Spectres. Again, this is one with, again, of course, some artwork from Jim Bakey, who I loved his art in some of the two issues. The 2 issues that Alan Moore contributed to the Vigilante title from the 80s. So really, really nice to see Jim Bakey do some horror artwork, especially with the Spectre. So really nice there. And we're getting close to the end. Not too crazy here for the timing, but since I had it there, and the condition isn't really bad. It could be worse, but for I was preserved, alright, I'll go for it. This is usually fun to find, but it's issue number 7 of the Human Torch. So this pretty much reprints Strange Tales 107, the story with these 2 characters, Namor and Johnny Storm. But this also includes a Golden Age storyline. I believe it still is a Golden Age storyline, I believe, with these 2 to begin with. Might have been the first, one of the earliest meetups between the original Namor from the Golden Age and the was it the Jim Hammond, whatever, the Johnny or the Human Torch, the android, basically the original Human Torch from the Golden Age. So Still, for the price, alright, yeah, I'll go along for it. But because I needed to get one other major book that I wanted to really snag. So I've been eyeing it, but I decided to break down, and given with the news of Ryan Gosling as who's going to be playing the Ghost Rider, this is usually a book that is a fairly pricey book, but it's still fairly undervalued when really compared to, like, you know, Ghost Rider #1 from 1973, and of course, Marvel Spotlight #5. Those are usually the heavy hitter, the most valuable Ghost Rider books. This one is still very undervalued, and when everyone talks about some early meetings with other superhero characters between, you know, Ghost Rider and other superhero characters, this is one I think that usually isn't the most and it's still decent. I actually got a good deal on this book. Let's put that. I still got a good deal on the book, especially for what even at what they had it priced. It still was cheap than what a lot of people online and so on are selling this book for, and especially in this condition, especially for the fact that this is a complete book. But we're talking about Ghost Rider #11, which is the official comic that sees the Ghost Rider and the Incredible Hulk ever meet and battle to begin with. Because if you know the story, issue #10 advertised the Incredible Hulk and the Ghost Rider, but because of timing issues and obviously some discommunication, they ended up reprinting Marvel Spotlight #5 for #10, but they kept that cover with the Incredible Hulk and Ghost Rider, and I will show you a picture of it right here. So it really was one of those, what they usually call it, misadvertising is what it would be. So it's a very misadvertised comic, and it does have some higher value than compared to #11, which eventually did give us what #10 should have lived up to its advertisement on that cover. And I would say I may still prefer the cover for #10, but this is still a cool Gil Kane cover, and it's still pretty cool to begin with. And in the condition, yes, you know what, I will take it. And at the same time, I'm also dreading, is this a complete copy? Does it include the value stamp? So I got lucky with Man-Thing's issue #13 and 14 with having the value stamps intact. I'm like, if I'm going to go all out, I need to make sure that this has it. Now, the shop here, you could probably ask, but I never tend to, just because of, I'm always afraid of, are these the types that could then switch the price? Do they not? Or do they just sell it accordingly? You know, I don't know what were the games, so I bit the bullet and paid for this book. And when I got back, first thing I did, open the book up, take the book out of the original, the bag and board, and of course it's replaced. It's replaced. I flipped through the book. Here you go. It includes the General Ross value stamp. So it's a complete copy. Even in this condition, it's complete. And for the price, which I'm not going to say for how much I paid, but still, it's cheaper than what most from eBay are selling this book for. At least sellers in there. Even on Hip Comic right now, what you can still find on Hip Comic, yes, I got it for a very low price, and it was for at least cheaper than those. And still, it's an undervalued book, and you never know. We may eventually see these two on screen. You never know. But again, this is a Jenny Blake Isabella story with Sal Buscema artwork and a Gil Kane cover. So really cool to begin with, and I think this is probably the best purchase I think I've made all month long. And I got some really good stuff this month, as you've seen on the channel throughout. So there you have it. Ghost Rider #11. So there you have it, folks. There's all the books that I showed in this video, this all the books that I bought during the sale, and a couple bonus ones I bought pre-sale. So if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I just showed you, you could leave them all down in the comment section below, all your thoughts. However, if you like what I show on this channel, and you like what I like to talk about, you like my enthusiasm, you like my personality, my attitude towards things, not only will it do me great, but it will do you great, because once you hit that subscribe button, you will never miss out on any brand new content. So until then, this is Thrashhead at the Comic Lounge saying I am out. And please keep on collecting, keep on reading, and just keep on enjoying your comic books, everybody. And I'll see you all again in the next month, where I'll have some different content style videos instead of all this smorgasbord of books I've been buying all month long, or I've been showing you and everything. So until then, take care, everybody.